Inflation surged in May to its highest level in more than 40 years, indicating that prices are becoming increasingly volatile in the economy. This could lead the Federal Reserve to keep interest rates elevated and add to political problems for the White House and Democrats. The Consumer Price Index rose 8.6% from a year earlier in a broad-based advance, Labor Department data showed Friday. The CPI rose 1% from a month earlier, topping all estimates. Shelter, food, and gas were the largest contributors. The so-called core CPI, which strips out the more volatile food and energy components, rose 0.6% from the prior month and 6% from a year ago, exceeding forecasts.
President Joe Biden is also blaming company consolidation for many of the increases.
There are nine major ocean line shipping companies that ship from Asia to the United States. 9. They form 3 consortia. These companies have raised their prices by as much as 1,000%.
The latest figures suggest that inflation is still high and may be increasing further. This is making it harder for people to afford the costs of living, which suggests the Federal Reserve may have to tighten its policy even further to help prevent the economy from falling further. Higher economic growth rates in the future may not be as stable as many believe, raising the risk of a recession next year. Until energy and food costs simmer down and excess demand pressures abate, there will be very little relief from the nearly 4-decade high inflation that many people are experiencing. This is because these costs are going to continue to rise, and as a result, there will be a lot of people who are struggling to make ends meet.
Here in New York City, everything has always been expensive, but over the course of the last, I would say, 9 to 12 months, it's really gotten untenable for a lot of people, and we're feeling the pinch like everybody else. And the sad part of it is that salaries, wages, etc., are just not keeping up with the cost of things. There's multiple reasons for that. Obviously, supply chain issues have put a big pinch on a lot of companies. As well as just overall inflation. Obviously, the situation in Ukraine has created a lot of tension as well, and created a situation where the cost of goods and services are increasing. So, yeah, it's been tough.
The Federal Reserve is widely expected to hike interest rates next week, but if inflation continues to rise above the Fed's expectations, they may raise rates more quickly in the future. In May, prices for necessities such as food and energy continued to rise at a double-digit pace. The cost of gasoline shot up 34.6% from a year earlier, the most since 2005, and including a nearly 49% hike in June. This upward pressure in coming CPI reports is keeping the Federal Reserve in the hot seat. With the next CPI report likely tracking at about the same monthly pace, the chance for a new peak in year-over-year inflation is high. That will likely keep the Federal Reserve on a trajectory of 50 basis point hikes beyond July, even though the economy is cooling. Anna Wong and Andrew Husby, economists.
We're doing everything we can to conserve fuel. When we get to a job site, typically where we would have told a guy, hey, hang out in the truck, it might take an hour or two to get unloaded, make sure you shut the truck off.
The median price of groceries rose 11.9% annually from 2007 to 2016, the most since 1979. Meanwhile, electricity prices increased 12.0% during the same time period, the most since August 2006. In addition, rent prices for primary residents rose 5.2% from a year earlier, in 2016, the most since 1987. There are increasing risks that food and energy prices will continue to rise. Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine, as well as stepped-up sanctions, port disruptions due to the upcoming expiration of the West Coast dockworkers contract, COVID-related lockdowns in China, and the possibility of a drought in areas around the world could all contribute to higher prices.
Inflation has finally hit consumers, but it also has impacted processing as well. Processing costs have actually gone way up.
Despite concerns over inflation and commodity prices, Wells Fargo economists say that tighter monetary policy won't do much to ameliorate the surge in prices. Instead, they say structural changes in the way people are spending and living post-pandemic may be the cause of the increase. Recent polling has shown President Joe Biden's approval rating to be in the low 40s, which likely spells further trouble for him as he seeks re-election later this year. The job market remains a bright spot, but decades-high inflation is crippling confidence among the American people, and it's outpacing wage growth. This means that many people are struggling to make ends meet, and this is likely having a significant impact on how people feel about the government and their political leaders.